Greetings, everyone. Core here. Time for another midnight review, and I feel like I should change the name of this review, but nah. I think midnight review works pretty well, considering most of the time I put these out at midnight, if not see the movie at midnight. Even though a lot of places don't do midnight showings anymore, it's all 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, stuff like that. But nonetheless, might as well keep it. I think it's a good name. And another thing for a good name is the Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tale. And it's kind of funny because I totally forgot what the subtitle was to this movie. I was always calling it just Pirates of the Caribbean. Was it 5 now? Or 6? Or one of the two. But nonetheless, it is a lot better than Stranger Tides. A lot better at, what was it, the World's End, I believe, or the third one, which finished off the original trilogy. It is strange to see because there's a bit of flash forward when you start it off. It kind of picks up a little bit after 4, after 3 for sure, because I believe 4 is supposed to be a prequel, if I remember correctly. With the Fountain of Youth and stuff like that. I believe that was supposed to be a prequel, and this one picks up after the third, about 8 years at first, and then it picks up another 8 years after that. So it's around 16 years to 20 years, I believe. I totally forgot the timelines that I forgot to add it up to see what exactly it was, but yeah, it's between like 15 20 years after the third one. After Will and Elizabeth go off and Jack goes off as well, and Barbossa kind of becomes this new sea captain legend after being Navy captain again, and it's really cool. It's almost a return to form from the original because it has its lightheartedness at the start. It has its character development, and then it starts going into this. It starts building up into this epic, which the original, all of the Pirates of the Caribbean, they haven't quite had this satisfying ending, and this movie has a satisfying ending. And of course, there is a post-credit scene that kind of, you know, is another sequel bait. So it's interesting to see where they'll take it from here if they continue it, which I believe they are. But it's interesting to see what the next movie will be. But nonetheless, Jack Sparrow is in it, and Will Turner's child is in it as well, and he plays a pretty key role along with a new female lead who is a scientist, an astronomer, and a horologist, which of course is a great joke in the movie. And there's a clip online if you want to check it out of that scene, and it's really good. Of course, even though I've seen it from online, seen it in the theater with the people and everyone was just laughing. It was a fun movie. It's an adventure, action-packed movie that knows when to have fun and doesn't feel forced. That's, I think, the best part of it is there's really no forced humor. It gets close on a few of them, but more or less, a lot of them do hit the mark. A lot of them do get a chuckle. A few of them are pretty hilarious. The audience was really accepted of a lot of the jokes and everything, and some of them were a lot of adult humor that the kids probably won't get. But nonetheless, it is a PG-13 movie, so it is shot for a little bit older audience. Of course, they all have, but there's still going to be kids, of course, and the kids are actually pretty. There was a few in my showing, and they were actually pretty enticed in the movie. It kept their attention, and I think that's really good. For the movie, especially for the parents that take them, that they could sit there and watch it and kind of follow along because they do make the plot pretty understandable. It's find this thing, get the people to help you find it, get there. You know, in of course the end of the movie, which I don't want to spoil too much, but it all pays off very well. bad guy in this one is, I always remember him from, like I said, I'm bad with names. I've said this many times. I'm bad with names and faces, so I do not know his original name. I only know Johnny Depp, uh, and of course Orlando Bloom. Which, if you've seen the Funko Pop toys, you know that he is in this, and it's right at the beginning, so not really too much spoiler, but it makes sense because his kid's in it, of course. Why wouldn't he not? But nonetheless, the bad guy in this movie, which is he's a dead man in a different way. He's more of a ghost, where the other ones were kind of like Davy Jones's crew. They were more like sea creature, mythological ghost in a way, but like zombie kind of. They were really interesting, different. Um, Even the first one with the pirates and the skeletons, they were, in the shade they were human looking, but once they get into light, which even moonlight or sunlight, they become, skeletons. Which actually I believe they couldn't get into daylight, if I remember again. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but um, yeah, but moonlight at least showing them in their skeleton forms, but they're all different. Granted, the skeleton guys are the only ones that can actually go on land. Davy Jones's crew couldn't go on land except for once every like 7, 10 years, something like that. Um, the ghost in here, the dead men, can't go on land at all, or they die. So it's a little more. It's a good way to limit them from going a little too crazy because they are very powerful characters compared to. I mean, all the other ones were powerful too as well, but these guys seem a little more powered just because of their ship, which is kind of like the Kraken in a way. But yeah, so overall, the music is really enticing. The actors do a really good job. There's not really too many that kind of just phone it in. Everyone actually gives a good effort, if not a great effort. Barbosa's character probably is the best actor in this whole movie, besides the main bad guy, who has a really um, he has some pretty intense scenes. I kind of wish we got more of them, just to make him a little more menacing. But there was enough to get his point across. Uh, there are a couple cameos which are really cool. Jack's uncle has a cameo, which, if you know his father, they kind of stick to that musical cameo theme. So there's another musician that acts as Jack's uncle. It's a quick little thing, but it's pretty funny. What else? The action, the CG, everything was really great. There's really not there's really not much I could complain about in this movie. It's a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. It's a summer blockbuster. It does what it's supposed to, and it is worth your dollar. It's gonna do, I'm sure, very well this weekend. It's worth, if you're questioning whether you want to see it, if you like any of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, especially if you like the first one, you should like this one a lot too. As well, it's not as corny. It doesn't feel as phoned in. Sometimes, it's almost feels like the first one all over again. And I guess it kind of is because it feels like the story's coming back around. But yeah, so I can't recommend it more. It's definitely really good. So far, doing really well this month. Actually, that is the last movie for the month of May. And June is going to be just as busy, so I will have a review every week once again for June. And the first one on that list will be Wonder Woman, which I will be seeing in Dolby Atmos Theater. And it's probably going to be pretty epic once her theme song hits, if you know it, from Batman vs. Superman. And I cannot wait. But I'll have the list of my June reviews on my Twitter account, which is at DCWCore. For for those of you that follow me on Twitter and that look for my comic giveaways, they are going to slow down a little bit because Marvel has changed their codes. Now they went back to the original format where the comic you got is actually the code you got, but also you get a bonus comic along with it too as well, which I think that's how it should have been from the start. But that's I'm not running Marvel, so I can't really say too much. But yeah, so keep an eye out for that. They are going to slow down quite a bit. I'll probably only have I'll definitely have one for Wonder Woman, even though it's a DC movie. I'm gonna have Marvel codes to give out. But yeah, so check out my Twitter account if you're interested to see what my June movies are. And August looks like it's going to be just as busy as May and June, so I'll have that list towards the end of June. But until then, later.